All right, guys, welcome to the Leadership to Wealth podcast. On today's show, we've got an amazing guest, but you're probably sitting there watching and wondering, hey, the set looks kind of different. Well, in fact, we are in a different set. I'm down here with Jas Tacker, and I'm actually in his set, and if you recognize it, and I'll get to this lovely woman. Keep your attention on me for right now. But we're here. This is we're in Jas's studio, and you can go over to jastacker.com and you can check out all of his content. So we're on site, and we're doing it live in person. I know you get used to seeing me Zoom people in from all around the world. But live in person today, we have Laura Stewart. Laura, great to have you.
Thank you, Neil. Holy shit, I hope I can swear on your podcast because that was a lot of energy and I like it. I like your vibe.
Sorry, I'm pushing everything around. Yeah, no, listen, I am excited. You guys have got some great stuff going on here. I definitely want to get into talking about what you're doing in social media and your background. You know, really on the podcast, we really want to, our focus is mindset, right? And it's about shortening the learning curve to building wealth in whatever area of wealth that you want to build that's important to you. And, you know, obviously everyone automatically goes to money, but there's so many other areas that are important to people. And I find that they'll interchange, and one thing will bleeds into the other. And so, good to have you on the show today.
Well, I'm super pumped. This is probably the second time that I've actually done a featured on that's live. Yeah. I'm used to the Zoom as well. Mm-hmm. So this is awesome, and welcome to the set.
Thank you.
It's not my set, it's Jas's, but yeah. I helped create this wall that clearly is movable that you guys would have just seen happen. But yeah, it's super, super exciting.
It's great. So I want you to get into a little bit of your background. Obviously, you and Jas are partners, both on the real estate side, and then you're the managing director for the media company or owner. What's
Flip. So on the real estate company, I am the VP of that company that Jas owns with his business partner Simeon. Yeah. And Jas and I are actually business partners on the media company side.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I've got to ask this question because we're going to go a little bit into your background. Skiing instructor?
Yes.
Realtor, media?
I've done it all.
How did you make that jump from there to?
Well, okay, so skiing, I mean, I started skiing when I was 4 years old. Okay. I grew up skiing. My parents were adamant that was the sport that as a family we were going to choose because A, we could do that long into our 60s, 70s. My dad still skis and he's 75.
Did they envision you as Molly Bloom?
No, I don't think they ever thought this is it for me. It was really just something that we could do fun as a family, and we could all be engaged in it. So while I was in lessons, my parents could still go out skiing and doing stuff on their own versus, the quintessential hockey family where you're kind of sitting in an ice cold arena all day just watching your kids do stuff. So I guess my parents did it selfishly for them, and now that I think about it. And then I was a ski racer, so I was in the program racing until I was about 18 years old, and then I actually became a ski coach, but that was just part-time. I never really saw that as my full-time career. Growing up in the ski culture actually gave me the ability to kind of look through the lens of wealthier people. It's funny, you were talking about building wealth, because it's an expensive sport, and a lot of the families that get involved in it are quite wealthy, a lot of entrepreneurs. I was not that family. I would say we were pretty much middle class growing up. Obviously, I'm very thankful for that, but not to the caliber of the people that I grew up with. And so seeing all the things that those people had, they had cottages in Muskoka, they had ski chalets, they had houses in Toronto, and some of them even had a fourth property in Florida. I mean, I just never grew up with knowing that people had this much money. And so to me, it was really about well, what is it that these people are doing that I should be doing so that I get some of those things in my life as well. Yeah. So it was a really good experience, the ski culture. But yeah, that was never being a ski bum was never gonna be my thing.
So growing up seeing that, can you say around, how old were you when you started noticing these other things and going, we don't have that second, third cottage?
Yeah, I would say it was probably when I was in grade 8. So what does that make you? Around 13 years old? That's when you really start to see the differences. Because when you're younger, all your friends kind of get similar toys for Christmas. You know, like you get a Barbie, I get a Barbie.
Yeah.
Or that, at least that's what girls were getting, you know what I mean? And it was when I started getting a little bit older that suddenly my friends were getting Tiffany's diamond earrings for Christmas. And I was not getting those things.
Yeah.
And so you really started to see the difference. And I also think as we got older and their parents got older, my dad was in the banking industry his whole life, moved up the corporate ladder. But you started to see entrepreneurs where maybe they were on the same level at a certain point, like when I was younger, around 5, but then all of a sudden they kind of took off. Their parents took off and created so much wealth for themselves because there was that opportunity in entrepreneurship, which I just wasn't accustomed to. My mom, stay-at-home mom, like I said, my dad, banker family. I would say on average, my family dynamic, not like the family I lived in, but like my dad's parents and family, like they're all pretty conservative people. None of them really were that big risk takers. And so this was the first time I really got to see when someone like takes a huge risk, what the potential reward of that is.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that it really left an impression in there, and it just sat there.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I mean, I was jealous. Like, let's call it what it really was.
Yeah.
I wanted all those things.
Yeah.
And I also got to see that when you have money, it gives you a leg up. So in ski racing, generally speaking, most people have one pair of skis. But my wealthier friends would have 2 pairs of skis. So they would have the skis that they would train on. And then on race day, they would bring out this pair of skis that had hardly been touched, sharper edges, just better equipment. And suddenly now they had that leg up that I didn't. So it certainly taught me like, well, if they're gonna have better stuff just simply because of money, I'm gonna have to work that much harder just to try to keep up, let alone beat them. You know what I mean? So I think it instilled a work ethic in me as well that said, I'm not gonna let this be the reason why I get beat. I'm never gonna let it be money. But rest assured, I'm gonna make it so that if I have kids, they're on the opposite side of that, which I don't yet. But if that's the case, that's how I'll parent.
So it's profound. Something that I'm hearing in what you're sharing and I think is important for you guys as you're watching and listening, is that you cannot have the best of everything, and it can actually be an advantage, because it was that very thing that allowed you to go, hey, why can't I? Or I want to work harder to be able to achieve these things. And so, you know, you'd almost ask the question, if you had all those things, would you have had, you know, that burn that got created?
That's a good question. I don't think I would have. I'm actually, now that I'm older, I'm thankful for not having been given all those things.
Yeah.
Because I look at a lot of my friends from that time now who were given all the luxuries of life. Their work ethic, I don't believe, is the same. Some of them are. I mean, I'm not going to paint everyone with the same brush, but they got a lot for free. They didn't have to work for it. And even if they do still work for it, like for me, like it's completely self-made. So I get to walk around with that sense of pride. So I'm actually really, really thankful. I also was that type of kid, like I'm short as an adult, but I was also always the small kid in school growing up. And I think there's something to when people underestimate you and like they don't see you coming, that I think is super powerful. And that has probably helped me in the corporate world, because I walk in, I'm 5 feet tall, blonde, female. I don't think people generally, you know, I don't certainly look the part of someone who owns a business that people should be listening to. But every now and then, you know, I'll throw out a little nugget there and people are like, oh shit, maybe we should pay attention to this girl. And I like when people underestimate me. I think when people assume that you're gonna do something amazing, you're kind of always trying to live up that. I don't think people have that assumption of me. So I'm kind of just floating under the radar doing my thing until bam, I started a company, bam, I'm VP of another company, and I'm doing that simultaneously. I'm quite proud of that.
Weren't you afraid that you might not do well? You started a company, what happens if it goes under?
Oh gosh, Neil, well, this is funny because we were kind of talking lightly before we started filming here today, and I have a lot of fear, in all honesty. I fear judgment of others massively. I also judge myself to a huge extent, which is probably why I assume that everyone's going to judge me as well. Because I'm very, very hard on myself. I've always been that way. I hate the idea of making mistakes. I hate even the smallest mistake.
But you have a social media company.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And you know what's funny? I think what I've kind of learned, surround yourself with amazing people. So where you have weaknesses, you surround yourself with people that might be a strength of theirs. And we talked about Jazz earlier today, and he's been absolutely paramount in helping me develop my career and helping me with my media company, because in areas where he doesn't give a shit and he's just like, let's throw something against the wall and see what sticks, where my natural self is like, no, we have to write it down on paper, and what's the business plan, and what's all these things. Like, he forces me outside my comfort zone, which I think is great. At the same time, I know where I bring my strengths to the table, which is, okay, Jazz, how about we systematize this now? Now that we've kind of thrown it all against the wall and see what sticks, let's really make a plan around this and hire people to kind of fill in those gaps, so that allows us to move on and do other things. Jazz is one of those people where it's, he's always been the real estate agent where he was doing all the work, and it was me who said, why don't you stop doing those types of jobs? Why don't you give that away to another agent, allowing you to kind of scale and grow? And so I think I bring that to the table. So I would surround yourself with people that are not like you. That push you outside your comfort zone. Trust me, it would be a lot easier if I had a business partner who was just like me.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We butt heads.
Yeah.
We're very different. I use the word, I have anxiety about XYZ, and he refuses to use the word anxiety.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm not putting that out into the universe. We're just very different in that respect. But I think it works well. And I'm, generally speaking, every time I've put myself in a situation that I am uncomfortable, it's usually worked out well for me. So I kind of take those experiences in life, and we've had the media company for 15 months now. So far, so good, knock on wood for me. That's not long for most businesses, but longer than a lot of startups.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes. I'm excited about it, yeah.
There's a lot of interesting things there, because you talked about the amount of fear that you have, but yet you're able to still go into it. You're able to still take it on, and it's interesting because I'm hearing that you see that fear as a sort of a negative or something like that. Is that how you see it?
Look, I wish I didn't have it. I wish I didn't have the fear.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a negative in that respect, because it's yet another hurdle that I need to jump over almost every single day. I mean, just waking up, getting to the office, and then hearing all the staff come in with problems and issues and how are we going to address everything, and I don't know any of the answers. Like, I truly don't know the answers. So you have to at some point just say, I'm going to make a decision and see what happens with it. So I would say no, I don't particularly enjoy the fear, but at the same time, I do know that fear is a good thing.
I hear it as a power in you.
Yeah.
I hear it as sort of a superpower, because it makes you question what's in front of you. Okay, I don't have the answer. I'm scared of making the wrong decision, and so you put yourself into it and start learning. I know a lot of people, when it comes to fear, they will actually stop. They'll, that's probably paranoia. Because you've got a fear, but you're actually taking action on it. It's forcing you to go in and look deeper, and what do I need to know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't wake up every day like, yes, I'm fearful, so this is like the moment that I'm going to overcome it. I don't think about it on a daily basis. Yeah. But I, generally speaking, when it's like a good amount of fear, where you're like, oh, I'm unsure and I don't know if I can. I think I'm one of those people that I really think, what am I going to regret most when I'm older? So if let's say I live to be 100, let's hope, and I'm looking back on my life. My grandmother's 99, right? Yeah. And I was just visiting with her a couple weeks ago, and I'm thinking, when she looks back on her life, what does she regret? She's lived a very different life than I have. She's very, very conservative, didn't push herself outside her comfort zone, with the exception of moving to Canada after the war. But with the exception of that, really never put herself in uncomfortable situations. And I wonder if she looks back on that and says, maybe I could have done something. And that scares me the most. So that fear is so scary to me, the fear of like looking back and being like, shit, I didn't try. I didn't even try. That I think that I'm so afraid of that these little fears are just not as big. And so it's like, let's go. We got to try it. I've had amazing support systems in my life too. So I know, like, I'll be caught, people will help me if I fall, and I fall a lot, and they'll help me get back up too.
It's interesting that you just said that you're going to fall and people will catch you. You'll get back up because you were in skiing.
They used to call me Raggedy Ann. That was
Okay.
my nickname because I fell so. I was like so floppy and sloppy, like like awkward teenagers.
Yeah.
I was that kid, like just awkward, and I didn't have a sense of like my being. Ironically, I always fell in training. Like I fell the most in training, but I rarely ever fell in the actual race. And I think that's an important part too, particularly when you're younger. Like when you're in your early 20s and you have time, you're kind of in training mode. Like that's your opportunity to fail because the stakes aren't that high. You don't have kids, you don't have mortgage payments. That's when you should be taking all the risks. I wish I took more risks, quite honestly, when I was younger. I didn't. I did the kind of the safe thing. Like I went to university and did what I was told to do and got the good grades. But quite honestly, I in hindsight, I wish I took way more risks when I was younger.
Right. I think it's great because I look at your, okay, you were in skiing and what that kind of developed, even the fact of messing up, falling in training. My daughter was in gymnastics.
Oh yeah.
And she would, I remember one day, after training, she got in the vehicle and got in the van and she started crying. And she was just like, I was messing up on everything. And I was like, that's amazing. I was like, that's awesome. She's like, what? I was like, you're practicing. This is where you're supposed to fail. This is where you're supposed to mess up. You want to do all of that as much as you can in this spot so that when you go to competition, then you can.
Then you'll be good.
You'll nail it.
That's so powerful that you're saying that to your daughter because I think from what I've seen, at least when I was growing up, it was the boys will be boys. Boys will make mistakes. They get muddy. They get dirty. They break stuff. Whereas girls were always told, like, be a good girl. Like, oh, you're so sweet. You're so gentle. Yeah. And so we kind of have this underlying sense that we do need to do things perfectly. And I notice that in the world today. Like a lot of my media clients, like who are trying to produce content, the men find it way easier to get on camera and mess up and not look the part, where the ladies we're worried about our hair, our makeup, how we look. Is what I'm saying smart enough? Does anyone even care that I have a voice? Is anyone going to pay attention? I'm like, you're so much more powerful than you think, but you've been kind of trained to believe that you need to have it all figured out first before you even speak or before you even do something. Where I think boys generally always had that mess it up and figure it out, and so I'm hoping there's a shift. So I'm glad to hear that that's how you're parenting your daughter. I wish I had that.
Well, I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 daughters. The first one, I didn't parent that much in that way. You learn, right, from your mistakes, and I apologize to her often about that, my oldest, and so when my second came along, I learned a lot more about giving her a little bit more space, because I realized how I internalized, and I thought, oh my goodness, what if she's internalizing it? As it turns out, yes, she did internalize some of those things in that way, and I think it was a blessing from God having girls first and then the boys, because I had to learn a completely different style. I thought I knew how to raise boys. I knew nothing about how to raise girls, and I had to learn, and it really helped round me out as a person, without a doubt, and continues to, because they're now teenagers. So
the fun really begins now.
Yeah,
you don't even know the half of it.
There's all of that, and so there is a real change. That I want to ask this question, because you're now that we're talking about it, you media company, and you're putting yourself out there, and you're trying to teach people and pointing out that, okay, a lot of women want to put that up. Hey, I want it to be perfect. But how do you get started if you're a woman watching this and you're trying to go, you've had all of this in the background coming up, and now you're at this place. How do you help them?
Yeah, and look, it's certainly not just a female problem. Like I've seen a lot of men that have come into this space as well who are nervous, and so I don't want to paint us all with the same brush.
So let's ask that question. Yeah. Why is that a concern for people with media? I mean, I've got my theories.
Yeah, look, it's funny. When you ask people what their biggest fear is, I think majority of people would still to this day say public speaking. And that is a room of people who probably aren't recording you, and you're afraid of just that one moment in time if you mess it up. But now when you're doing content, that moment in time is broadcasted everywhere for everyone to see. People can pause it. People can zoom in on it. They can see if you have zits. They can watch your mistake again and again and go back. And then they can send it to their friends. And there is this virality that I think people think is happening in social media that scares a lot of people. I also think people don't want to see themselves played back. Like, I don't like when the video's done and my team gives me clips. Like,
why?
Like, I just post it.
Why
I don't even watch it because I'm like, oh, why'd you say it like that? Or, ooh, why'd you move your head like that? And Yas is laughing, who's filming us in the background, because I never watch the stuff that he gives me. I post it. Yeah. Like, I'll watch, like, what is this video about? Okay, I remember what I said. I was there when I did it.
You don't want to edit it and redo it?
No, like, because if I edit and redo it, it's going to take more time. Yeah. And for me, I understand that the content game is really about the quantity, getting stuff out there again and again and again. And if I start looking at myself and editing it myself and saying, this isn't good enough, that's my opinion about myself. Yeah. No one's judging me as much as I'm judging myself, is also what I've learned. No one cares more about me than I care about myself. So after today, like, we've had a great conversation. You're gonna get in your car and you're gonna think about what you did and what you could have done better. Yes. And I'm gonna get in my car and think about what I did and what I could have done better. Yeah. I'm not thinking about you. I'm gonna be like, oh, that Neil guy was such a nice, like, that's really the
There's 2 minutes and then you're back on to you.
Yeah, so I think realizing that, it's like no one pays any attention to you. And at the start when you're producing content, you're not famous. Like, that's why you're producing the content, to get more eyeballs and to get attention. And I help real estate agents where the goal really is to do more transactions, not to become the next Kim Kardashian. Although I'm sure that would be great for most of us because she's super wealthy. But the goal really is to do more business. And so stop judging yourself that much. I think what helps a lot of people when they get started, if they're super, super afraid of the camera, you don't need to start with the camera. You could start with an audio-only podcast. Yeah. That might be a great place just to learn how to project your voice.
Okay, wait, hang on. Okay, before we get into the different places, I got to ask the question, why is this a thing? Why is it important to even produce the content in the first place?
I think it varies for different people. For real estate agents.
Yeah, let's talk real estate.
Let's just talk.
That's your...
Yeah, that's my niche. So that's what, and that's why I started producing content myself. Look, I think the attention is online, right? So traditionally, real estate agents would have posted billboards if they could afford it, maybe a bus stop, or they'd send out just listed, just sold flyers to a neighborhood, and they would try to farm a neighborhood, and then they'd be picking up the phone call, making calls to cold databases all day. That's traditionally how real estate agents got business. But when you think of it now, the average person at a bus stop, what are they doing? Are they looking at the bus stop, or are they... Exactly. They're doing this all day. Yeah. Right? So no one's paying attention to your bus stop. When people are driving, even the driver half the time is probably not paying attention to the billboards. I mean, hopefully they're paying attention to the road. But the person in the passenger seat, again, is on their phone. So now we have to start thinking about, how do we get in that phone? And what are they doing on that phone? Well, for a while they were on Facebook. Then they moved to Instagram. Now they're on TikTok. So it's our job, because at the end of the day, as a real estate agent, you're a business owner. Even if you're a business of one person, that's your business. You're a marketer first thing and first. So you need eyeballs, you need attention. And this is where the attention is. So I think it's a great way to get eyeballs on you, to educate your community on doing more business. And it has tremendously changed our business. So in 2018, we started an audio-only podcast with the idea of just educating our clients on how to buy, sell, and invest. That has morphed into all these different things. It's morphed into this studio space that we have here today. But it single-handedly was the best thing, because we got to say something one time and broadcast it to a lot of people versus one-on-one conversations on the telephone and going over the same thing over and over and over again. Now I have the ability to say, oh, you're thinking about buying a pre-construction condo. Have you seen my pre-construction masterclass? No, let me text it to you. So instead of me going over the 45-minute conversation, I recorded it one time. Yes. And now I can just send it to people, and I can educate them ahead of time. Yeah. It also, I don't know what it is, something about the being on camera, someone giving you a microphone. the public seems to think, oh, well, if they're on camera, they must know what they're talking about.
Right.
So there's this sense of like, we're important, we know what we're talking about. Even though I gave myself the microphone, I gave myself the camera, no one's really putting it on for me, but it kind of edifies you in a way. So that when you do meet people for the first time, they'll say, oh yeah, I know you because I saw you on Instagram, I saw you on TikTok, or I watched the whole masterclass, like I'm ready to buy that pre-construction condo, just find one for me. Where before, we had to sit there and like really sell ourselves and say, this is who I am and this is, you know, my business. Now people know that stuff ahead of time. So it cuts that like sale, quote unquote, in half, I'd say. Yeah.
So what I just heard out of that was you're going to save time, but it's not even about the saving time because they can go interact with that material, but rather you're actually able to put yourself out there and people will even hold you in higher regard by viewing your content.
Yeah, which is crazy because I'm just saying the same things I would have normally said in front of you. I'm just saying it on camera, but there's something about being on camera, even if it's in a blog form, like I know we're gonna probably go down that path, like all the different ways that you can find people's attention. There's something about, look, I've done something and I've done it in a permanent space, like a video or audio or written word that, like you said, holds me in a higher regard for some reason, and that's just the way people are. I don't really know why, but like if some, you know, when I think back to like watching Oprah, if Oprah had a guest, just her having the guest, suddenly that person, their business would shoot up, because if that person's good enough to be on Oprah, I mean, they must be good enough for me to buy their product or whatever it is. And the same thing goes for us. It's just at a much smaller scale, and we happen to be the ones now we're the Oprahs. You know what I mean? Like like I'm on Oprah's couch right now, and this is it's
You're
the
gonna
exact
start
same
jumping
thing.
up and down.
Exactly like the Tom Cruise.
Which everyone remembers.
Exactly. So we have the ability to do that ourselves. We don't have to be famous first to get those types of responses or to get on a show like Oprah. We can create our own show. And I think that's what's so fun with what's going on in technology and social media today.
Yeah. Okay. Man, I hope you guys are taking notes or winding back, whatever, clicking back and listen, because there's a lot of things that I'm hearing in there, and one of the parts that I'm hearing is that you've got a different mindset. Can you speak to that mindset that says, I know I'm not perfect, and you're doing it, you're literally saying that you don't have to be an expert to put material out there, which everyone thinks you've got to be at that level. If you're not at that level, how can you have the mindset, and what is that mindset to be able to put material, put content
That's a
out
great question, because I hear this all the time with our clients, like, well, I don't know the answer, or I don't know XYZ. I think generally speaking, we don't give ourselves enough credit. So if you've been a real estate agent for 5 years and you've transacted 25 deals every year, like, you are an expert. And if your client were to ask you questions, I'm sure you would know 85% of the answers. And being honest and upfront by saying, like, look, I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll find out for you, is a good enough answer. I don't want to misinform you. Those are all great answers. And we say that in person to people, but we think that we don't have that same, like, I have to know all the answers, I have to know everything. And it makes me sad, because I think a lot of people just underestimate how much they know. And as soon as you put the spotlight on them, it's like, you know, what's 5 times 2? And it's like, you know the answer, just calm down. Like, you already know it. But I do struggle with it myself, because sometimes I think, well, who am I? Like, maybe I need to be at a certain level before I should be talking. I think if you come at content from storytelling versus I know everything, that helps too. So if you are a newer agent, for example, and you say, I'm working with a client, and on the weekend we were at a property and they were looking at the wallpaper and they just couldn't get over the wallpaper, and I was trying to explain to my client, like, look, the wallpaper can be changed. That doesn't really determine the value of the property. And, you know, I'm trying to help them think outside the box and things like that. Those stories are true because they're your stories.
Yes.
Just like you asked me my experience with skiing like, you don't know the answer, and that is my truth. Like,
Yeah.
there's no right or wrong, it just is my experience. So I think if people come at content creation from, I'm just a storyteller, versus I'm gonna sit here and dictate to you what I know and you should listen to me, and now it's a buyer's market, you should buy. It's like, look, I've been working with some clients who are taking advantage of the current circumstance, and they actually purchased a property 3 weeks ago, and this is what happened, XYZ. And again, storytelling.
Yeah.
And people can connect with those. Like, people can connect with the person who says, I'm a first-time investor, and I was shaking, my hand was shaking so much when I was signing off the checks, because it took me so long to earn these dollars, and now I'm just giving it away, and who knows what's going to happen. Like, people connect with those stories versus, you should buy a pre-construction condo. You know what I mean? So I think just tell the stories, tell the experiences, and then that is inevitably what makes you an expert, because no one else can share those but you.
Yeah. I think the problem really is for a lot of people, you're trying to do deals, you're trying to build your business, whatever it is, and you're trying to generate revenue, and you're thinking, how do I do this? And the solution, one of the solutions that you're obviously talking about, is create content. You can do it virtually for free, and you don't have to be perfect at it. So if I do that, if I create content and I put it out there, does it mean that my sales are going to increase? Does it mean more people are going to come into my business?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
So I think where people might go wrong is they spend a week to create one post, right? They wrote down what they're going to say, and then they sit there and they do it again and again and again. And then they post it, and then they don't get business from it. And they're like, well, this didn't work.
Yeah, why doesn't that work?
Yeah, because you posted one post. Like, get over yourself. No, you're not going to get business from one post. Just like you put up a billboard advertisement, and the first person who saw it isn't necessarily going to call you. Like, it's doing something consistently. So it's being on that billboard every single day for the next 5 years. That's what's going to translate into business. Social media is the same. You have to be putting yourself out there every single day, and it's hard. Like, there are days I don't want to do it, like, at all.
Yeah.
And there are some days where I don't do it. And I take social media vacations because I'm sick of it. I don't want to be on it. I don't want to expose myself, or I'm feeling vulnerable for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But what I have found is
Wait. You don't want to expose yourself. What's that mean?
It's very
Unpack that
vulnerable.
for us.
It's vulnerable putting yourself out there. Whether you're telling a real story about a client who maybe fired you, and you're thinking, shit, should I post that? Because now everyone's going to think I'm fireable and I must not be good at my job. Whatever it is, maybe you post something about something that happened in your family, maybe you got a divorce and you're talking about the story of that and how you've overcome it. Those are vulnerable stories. Those are all emotional things that have happened to you. And people might judge you for it. You might even get some trolling comments where people don't like you for it. Or they're ripping on you for something that you said. And it can be very scary, very daunting at times for majority of people. Like, I've told some people about my TikTok stories, like what people will say, like, you're a scumbag, you're a sleazy real estate agent, like completely ripping me to shreds. You don't know anything, you're the problem with society. That, like, if you're not strong and you're not confident in yourself, that can be very hard to deal with. A lot of people say, oh, I don't even want to deal with it.
Where does that, when you get those type of comments, where does that leave you?
When I first get the comment, I'm usually pretty pissed off. Like, I'm like, this mother, like, and I want to just get my phone out and start, like, saying something mean back. But I generally try to take a breath. In my life, I think what I've come to realize so far is the people who have been the meanest to me are generally dealing with something difficult. When I've been the meanest to other people, it's usually because I'm dealing with something emotional and I'm not in a good place. And so I try to give them that same understanding, like, this person must be in a bad place. Like, for someone, honestly, to take out their phone and have username 12345 and they're ripping on me from Canada, Toronto, like, who doesn't have a huge following on TikTok yet, because I just kind of started. It's like, I'm nobody. Like, why are you hating so much? You got to be in a bad place. So I try to come at it with empathy. It doesn't happen all the times. Depending on the day, I can get a little bit like, but, I generally respond with, like, perhaps you had a bad experience with a real estate agent. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I hope you can understand that we don't all run business the same or whatever it is.
Right.
Try to give them some love back. That's it. And then have a sense of humor about it, because like they don't know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This person has no idea who you are.
Yeah.
They don't understand it. Here's the thing, if I put up a video about, hey landlords, here's something you need to know about getting more money from your tenants. The tenants rip me to shreds, and they think I'm the worst person on the planet. Then I put out a post the very next day about, hey tenants, here's what you need to know to stay in the property a little bit longer or whatever. And then the landlords rip me to shreds. So I'm not going to make everybody happy, and I think I've come to realize that, and it's quite humorous at the end of the day. So I try to come at it from that lens.
So what I just got out of that is you're allowed to post content and people can make fun of you and you're allowed to get pissed off about it.
Hell yeah. You're human.
Right? You're allowed to self-deprecate, you're allowed to all of those kind of things and still move forward. Because I think that's part of it is, what if that happens? Can the human side, right? Can I handle it? I don't want to deal with that. And to realize that just because there are people that don't like it, it does not mean that it is not giving value to other people.
Neil, you were probably hoping that I would have some like, oh, I don't take it personally response, like I'm super strong and it doesn't faze me. But that wouldn't be true. It might be true for some people. It's certainly not true for me. And my goal is to try to help people get over the fears that I'm getting over. Yeah. Not to say, well, I never had them, so you should be more like me. I'm saying, no, I'm just like you. I to this day, I'm just like you, and we're all just trying to navigate and get over it. And the older we get, I know it seems like we got our shit together. I'm now realizing, like, I used to look at my parents and be like, oh, when I'm 37, I'm gonna have my shit together.
Yeah.
Now I've just realized, like, my parents didn't have it together. Yeah. They didn't know what they were doing, and I certainly don't know what I'm doing, and neither do you. And so, like, let's try to all learn from each other and get a little bit better every day and be happy with that.
I actually think, you know, guys, as you're watching this and listening, if you don't have some level of fear, there is something wrong with you. Like, I would actually be more concerned if you don't have any.
That's true. You're probably a bit of a narcissist. A little bit. You know what I mean? And like Beyonce, I think I've heard her say in an interview before, like, I'm still nervous to this day. Think about that woman who's been on stage so many times. I'm still nervous to this day. And she said, I think when I'm stopped feeling nervous is when I'm going to stop doing it. Because it probably means, like, she's not pushing herself outside her comfort zone. Yeah. She's not doing something. And so I don't want to come up here and say, no, it's so empowering and it's wonderful. It's not wonderful all the time. It is empowering some of the time, because you'll get the odd comment where someone says, wow, you changed my day, or you inspired me to take action, or I bought my first property because of you and you helped me do that. Like, whatever it is. And that, I think at some point, a lot of humans look at their life and they say, what's going to make my life worthy? What's going to make my life feel important? And it's usually giving back to other people and helping people overcome things. Yeah. That's I mean, what else can you ask for?
Okay, so we're trying to figure out, how do you get more deals? How do we make more money, bring more into the business, create content, right? And if that's a solution to it, and, you know, obviously you're helping people do that, what would success look like? How would someone know that, hey, I'm doing it right?
Oh gosh, Neil, I wish there was.
You got it here first. All right.
I wish it was like, this is success.
Take 6.
Yeah, I think the thing is like, nobody really knows, and success for everybody is different. And some people want quality of life. Some people want privacy. Some people want money. Some people want all those things.
But what about just
like
in
just
terms
in terms of social media?
Of the media, right?
Yeah,
because let's just solve that one.
But it's true. It's like macro level to even this micro level.
Because who knows what we're shooting for, right? Okay, now I can.
Like, is it a number of followers, for example?
Yeah.
I would argue that no. If you're really trying to build a community to do business, because I think you do the most business by building a community of people who know you, like you, trust you. Yeah. Right. So if you're building a community, 16,000 followers is better than 6,000 followers. But if it's 16,000 fake followers, if it's 16,000 people who are like, I think you're funny, but I would never do business with you, then that's not going to put dollars in your pocket. Yeah. So is it dollars in our pocket that we're trying for? Majority of real estate agents, mortgage brokers would say, yeah, like I want my business to thrive. So then I would say it's not about followers. It's not about how many likes you get on a post. I actually think the beauty comes offline. So it's when you're having conversations with people, when you do get on the phone and someone says, Laura, I'm already following you. Or Laura, we've already connected. Remember that conversation that we had? I DM'd you. Laura, thank you so much. The video that you put out there about XYZ is why I picked up the phone to call you. That's actually the result of all the hard work. It's not what's truly happening in social media. It's what's offline. It's people recognizing you or trusting you, and the rapport was already built before you even got to the table. That's where the true magic happens. So try your best not to get too concerned. And I do this too. Again, like I'm human. Like I'm like, oh shit, man. Like I've been posting for so long, and I only have X amount of followers. I feel like it should be more, but obviously it's not, and it means I'm not providing value. I do think there's a critical point where if you're putting out content every single day consistently for a year and it's still crickets, I would question how charismatic you are on camera. Because there is an ability to like speak to the camera and speak to somebody through the camera to get them to take action. And if you're not capable of doing it, it might not be for you. And that's okay too. I think recognizing that in yourself. And that's where I would say, well, maybe you're better at audio. Maybe long form podcasts are for you and short form minute TikTok videos are not your thing. Or perhaps you're a better writer. You know how many amazing writers out there? Like you can have very, very infamous blog posts and pages like that. And I actually write a lot of the blog posts for my team. And there's a lot of information that you can put in writing, and you can add on all these things that you can't always do in camera and in short form video content that is amazing. And so maybe that's your avenue, or maybe you're a storyteller through pictures, or maybe you're a storyteller through drawings. Like it doesn't always have to be the way we think. Every social media person out there is cringing right now if they're listening, because they're like, video is king. Video, you have to be on video. You have to, and I'm just not going to say that, because I think some people, you have to look at yourself and be honest and say, video is not my thing.
So what I actually heard there is that by going through producing content, being consistent with it, there's a certain journey there of even learning yourself. You get to find out what's genuine for you.
Yeah, it's all lessons to keep learning and growing. I've tried. So this is funny, a funny story. So we were talking about jazz. I mean, I hope that your viewers and listeners know who Jazz is by this point. Where he was doing all the content, I was kind of watching and I was seeing it work, like right in front of my eyes, and I was seeing.
Like I'm hearing even for you, you're still learning different aspects.
Oh, 100%. Because this story, it's like I would see how he would do his content. He would come with all the energy, and he'd be up front and like in your face. And then so he said, Laura, I think you need to start producing content. And so he would say like action, and then I'd be like, and I would even try to speak like him. I would say the same things that he did. I would say it in the same manner that he did, and then I would watch it, and I would almost cringe, because I was like, who is this person? And he would say, this is not you. What are you doing? And the reason why I wasn't getting any traction is because I wasn't being authentic. And so at some point, I have to also accept that maybe people are going to like his charisma. Maybe I'm not as charismatic, but maybe the way I tell a story might attract certain people. Like maybe people are watching him, and they like the fact that he's Punjabi. Or his parents are immigrants, or whatever his story. He's going to connect with people on that level. Maybe I'm going to connect with people because I'm a woman, or I was born here, or I don't know how I'm going to connect with people or why I'm going to connect with them, but I'll never know unless I become more myself. And that's a journey, like becoming more in tune with who I am and being confident with who I am, and saying like, I used to I had hair extensions and fake eyelashes when I first started the content, because I was scared. I was like, what am I going to look like on camera? And quite honestly, over the years, it got exhausting. I don't have time for that shit. Like, I actually am running a business.
I've got to take out my hair extensions.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Not that, like, there's anything wrong with it. You look beautiful. I felt I looked better. But now that I've gotten rid of it all, people are now going to like me for me or not like me for me. So it's like, when they do like me, I can actually be proud of that, because I'm like, yeah, I was actually myself. You know, and that feels good.
I think that is a secret in all of it, is that oftentimes we walk around this life and we have this projected self. that we show to everybody else. And who we are authentically is way back here. And the further out it is, the harder it is to have these interactions, authentic interactions with people. And so if you can rein that projected, keep bringing it in closer, you may not ever get it fully right there, but you get it to a point where now they are interacting with you, and they can sense it. Like, people aren't stupid. They can sense, is this person for real?
You're right. That's bang on. And probably the compliment I get the most is like, oh, you seem very genuine.
Yeah.
And that to me is such a huge compliment. It's not you're the most knowledgeable or you've inspired me the most, although that would be wonderful to hear, but you're genuine. You're you. And I generally say to people that if you are producing content for work, don't have like a work page and then your personal page. You need to figure out a way where you can mesh the two. That's not to say you need to showcase every aspect of your life like you would if it was a private page, but you do need to start sharing personal things about you. I think there's a 60-40 rule that I like to work at. So 60% of the time you should be showcasing things about your work, your knowledge, your experience, and then 40% of the time is showcasing other aspects of your life. Because in real estate, most people aren't buying properties for 5 years. For example, every 5 years, there might be a turnover. How am I entertaining or educating them in the meantime? And if it's just real estate all the time, they're gonna be like, well, I don't care about real estate right now. I'm not in the headspace of buying it.
Yeah.
So I try to entertain them with other things or inspire them with other things. I made a post about my IVF journey a couple months ago, and I was so scared to put that out into the world because, it's very private, and who do I think I am to share this kind of stuff? But my goodness, the amount of feedback, positive feedback I got, both online, but mostly offline, like colleagues coming up to me, people like hugging me in the bathroom, being like, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going through it too, and I've told nobody. And it's been unbelievable, like that experience. And I think there's so much power there. And so if people can get over that hump of like, I don't know what to share. I'm not saying you have to share that and go that private, but knowing that when you do start to share some things about yourself, you're taking off the armor that you've put on to protect yourself, and it's so freeing. I gotta tell you, it feels so damn good. And now I walk around like I'm not hiding anything anymore. And what, is somebody not gonna do business with me because of that? Great, I wouldn't wanna do business with you either then.
Yes.
So let's sort through the people that I do and don't want to do business with. So let's say you start posting stuff about your dog. I post a lot of stuff about my dog. And let's say someone else is like, I hate dogs, and this real estate agent always posts about her dog, and I'm never going to work with her. Great. I'm going to find all the people who are dog lovers. And now I'm going to get to work with those people, and that's way more fun. Because we're probably going to look at properties and be like, oh, your dog's going to run around in the backyard, and we're going to get to bond on that, and that's way more fun.
I actually believe that what you just pointed out is one of the greatest secrets in business that we have right now around this. If people are creating content, you literally are weeding out a lot of the time wasters. Oftentimes, in whether you're B2B, whatever type of business you're in, you're always dealing with different people, and then you've got to fire some of these clients, right? Because it doesn't work. Or people are like, why is this so hard, right? Why is this so hard? I keep meeting these people, as opposed to when you're creating content. Okay, guys, this is the secret. When you're creating content, those people come to you. The people that you're for, because if there's an audience for everybody, right? Then, and you're putting yourself out there, that audience will come to you.
Isn't that great? We were talking about this offline. Like, you're getting phone calls now.
Yeah.
Because you're doing this podcast and you're putting out stuff on social media. Now you don't have to go outbound. I mean, I don't know a single real estate agent who likes cold calling and thinks that's fun. They do it out of necessity. But imagine now, instead of you going out to strangers are instead calling you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a complete game changer.
And they're literally calling me saying, hey, Neil, I wanted to talk to you, but I've got this money. And they're going straight into the conversation as if we've been speaking.
In fact, let me guess. They say to you, "I don't want to take up too much of your time." I hear that all the time. people used to waste all my time
Yeah.
because they didn't think my time mattered. And there's something about now, I guess, being on social media, they think, well, she must have to go film something.
Can
or
I
do
can I
something.
ask you a quick question? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Half an hour later, right? You know.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Now
but
it's like, let me get right into it. Let's
Yeah.
get down to business. I already know that you're my mortgage broker or my real estate
Yes.
agent. You're my person.
Yes.
So let's just get it going and like stop wasting time. And
Yeah.
like, it allows you to do way more business.
Yeah.
I mean, think of all the time that you've wasted prior to like dealing with people. And then them saying, well, I'm shopping around. I'm doing another conversation with another mortgage broker tomorrow, so I'll let you know, where you're like in tryouts.
Yeah.
Now it's like they've already figured out that you're their person.
Yeah.
So you don't have to try out anymore.
And so when people are coming in to work with you guys and you're helping them walk through this process, so that, because we talked about mentorship. I think we talked, I don't know if we talked online or offline. We were talking about
Offline, I
mentorship.
think, yeah.
Offline, okay. So the power of mentorship in that you're able to shorten that learning curve, right? One of the things I've realized is when you do things on your own, you're making those mistakes on your own. When you have a mentor, when you have someone that's teaching you, they're able to shorten that learning curve. They're able to help you. You don't have to figure out the backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. Do you go through all that? How does that work if someone's they want to?
Like from a social media only perspective?
Yeah, well, someone's with regards to what you guys do in the media company.
Yeah, we have funny clients because people will have these grandiose ideas about what they want. Like they come in and they'll say, so I'm thinking, Laura, like I want to do a show, right? And it's going to be awesome. And there's going to be like cameras, and then we're going to
Everyone wants a show.
panoramic, and then you're going to get me walking in, and it's going to be super fun and it's cool. And I'm like, okay, great. Have you done any content prior? No. Like, that's a massive leap.
Yeah.
Like, and expensive. Like, do you know how much money it takes to have a team and multiple cameras? And they go to this place where they want it perfect and fun, and it's like, I'm gonna be this celebrity online. And it's like, whoa, calm down.
Yeah.
How about we just start with a couple posts? And so I really try to like hold their hand and walk them through it, and then they'll say, well, the lighting's not right, or I don't want to do it outside, and I'm like, the lighting is right no matter what. What you have to say is right no matter what. Like, just get it out there, because people are scrolling so fast. Like, really put your headspace in someone who's on their phone. Like, A, they might not even hear you the first time because they have the audio off.
Right.
So who cares what it sounded like? B, maybe they open up Instagram, it opens into it, and they're about to watch your video, and they're like, oh, that lighting's bad. And then they get a phone call, and they answer the phone call again, and the next time they go in the app, it's now on somebody else. So they didn't watch it. So, like, who really cares? Like, you're spending way too much time trying to get to the perfect answer, where I'm like, it's good enough. Like, your background's good enough, your lighting, your camera, your phone can do everything. So just you don't need a team, you don't need to get all fancy. I would say, get started, see how it goes, and like that's what I would I truly say to people who come in, like, as their mentor. Like, I'm holding their hand. I'm like, we're doing this on my phone. Yeah. You're getting way too fixated on things that don't matter.
So who is your ideal client then? Who are the people that should be coming in to see you then?
I think if you have never put yourself in front of camera and you're coming in to us to do it, I would urge you to try a couple on your own. I'm not even saying you have to post it, but like, just get used to being on camera, because we're gonna spend probably the first 3 hours of you not even getting past that first sentence. Because if you think, well, I need to know what I'm gonna say, and if and then you stop and you can't, like, it's gonna be way too expensive, and it doesn't make sense, because it's gonna take up half of our day, and we charge for that. Right? So you do need a little bit of experience. I think there is a sweet spot of people who are like, I know I need this. I don't know where to start, but I'm confident you can help. Like, that's really all it takes is, like, they're going into it with the right reasons, which is not, I want to be a superstar, I want to be an Instagram influencer. This is like, I just want to help educate my 300 followers to do more business. Right. And that's really all I need from this. That's kind of the person that we like to attract.
Yeah. And obviously you specialize, your niche is realtors.
Yeah, real estate agents, mortgage brokers. We do some like small business owners. Yeah. Because generally speaking, our macro thesis is that as a personal brand, you're top of the funnel. So you're going to get the most eyeballs. If you have an Instagram page for a small business, they can only speak with their business jargon, and they have to have a certain look and feel. Where you personally, I mean, you're not just that business. Like, I'm not just a real estate agent, I'm all these other things.
Yes.
So I can talk about all these
Yeah.
other things,
Yeah.
right? Whereas if you just have a business page, that's hard. So we say, like, why don't you be the star of your own show?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make you top of the funnel. You're gonna make it rain. And then when people come in and they kind of figure it out, like, okay, you're a real estate agent, now I'll work with you. Like, that's
Yeah.
how we kind of work
And
through
and
it.
it's all that other stuff that makes people want to work with you. It's what differentiates you.
Yeah, there's over 70,000 real estate agents
Right.
on the Toronto Real Estate Board.
Right.
And we all wear suits and we all drive Mercedes and whatever it is, you know, like we're
Yeah.
like legit all the same. At least we try to portray to be the same.
Yeah.
But we're not the same. We all have different experiences. Someone on TikTok ripped on me the other day because I was talking about my nutrition background. I went to school for nutrition and now I'm a real estate agent. And
Yeah.
they said, who cares that you went to school for nutrition? That was the response. And I thought that's such a stupid thing to say because everyone cares. Like,
Yeah.
I care about your background. I care what you did. Otherwise, you're just a real estate agent.
Right.
And I'm so much more. And that's how I'm going to connect with people.
Yeah.
Look, I don't worry about that person. I'm never going to get their business anyway. So out the door he goes.
So if people want to get a hold of you, where's the best place for them to?
Probably the best place to see all the content that I'm doing and to copy it. Like, if you're a real estate agent, mortgage broker, I want you to come to my page.
Yeah.
I'm telling you to steal the stuff for yourself. Take the tips and the tricks and put them in your own words. Don't do what I did and try to be Jazz or try to be me. Like, do it your way. You can follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Laura Stewart TO.
That's great. And we'll put it in the show notes as well. Okay, so as we close out here, what's next for Laura Stewart?
What's next for Laura Stewart? I used to be one of
What are
those
you
people that was
excited
like, this is my 5-year goal and this
Yeah.
is what I'm doing. I don't have any of those goals anymore.
No checklist?
No, I don't even bother.
Wow.
In all honesty, my life has taken so many
We
twists
should
and
have
turns.
started there.
I haven't been really in the same career or industry for more than 5 years.
Okay.
And I would say I'm not even really a real estate agent so much as I am now a business owner. I obviously would love to see the business explode. Jazz and I are doing an amazing, fun thing that's starting on Monday, actually. It's called the Immersion Program, where we're going to have real estate agents come in and sit with us and watch what we do. We're not teaching. We're not saying, watch our course or read our training book. This is sit here, see what we do, and be ready to do the work yourself. So we're actually going to make them, they don't know this yet, we're going to make them shoot content on the spot. You have no excuses today. We're going to make them do those phone calls into their database, not cold database, into their database saying, I just did a webinar and I'd like to get your input on it, and we're going to make them actually do what we do, because we hear it all the time. Well, we want to be like you guys, and we want the team. This is how you're going to do it, by immersing yourself in like seeing what we do in a real day. And the hilarious part is, Jazz and I were thinking, well, we got to structure it and we got to do all these things, and then it was like, whoa, we're not like that. Like, we don't structure our day. The fact that you like, what's my checklist? Every day I come in and I'm like, holy shit, what is going on today?
Yeah.
But that's how we're getting things done, because from the moment that we think we're going to execute on something to the time we actually execute on it is very short. And I think where people tend to go wrong is they have an idea and then they wait and they wait and they think about it and they think about it and they make the checklist and they try to get everything gathered. They're just not willing to
Buy
fail.
the planners.
Buy the planners. Like, let me get a calendar and write it out first, and let me whatever my social media strategy is going to be. No. You have to just get started. So
Yeah.
that's the thing we're most excited about right now. But I have no clue how it's going to go.
There's a lot that we covered there, and I know that we could have covered even more. But we've got to let Laura go, because she's got all of those things that she's got to get back to. And in fact, I have to get out of the set so that Laura can continue to crank on the content, creating content. And so now I want to say this, because some of those, by the time this airs, those people will have already come into the immersive.
Yes.
So I want you guys to come in and comment on what that was like, and because Laura has dropped this right here, right now. So give your feedback when this comes out.
They heard it here first.
Yeah, actually, technically, you did it there first, but and now you're hearing it. So let us know, because we want to hear the power of.
Yeah,
this
definitely.
immersive content.
We'll be like, we're gonna showcase the whole journey. Yas he documents it all for us. He's going to put something together and really put a beautiful piece to really showcase what it was like. And so we'll give away all the info.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for coming on today. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for allowing me to come here and be
This
on.
was honestly a lot of fun. You have so much energy, and you know, it's funny, we were talking offline that you normally have papers and some questions and stuff jotted down, but wasn't this way more fun, just doing it like off the cuff?
This was fun.
See, you pushed yourself outside your comfort zone today.
The one thing that I found, we'll end with this, is that I found that I was just interested in listening to your story and hearing it out, and it actually was a little bit more difficult to be a host in this setting because normally I might have a couple of notes I got to remember everyone out there in this case.
But you know what's funny? You actually had to come at this with a lot of curiosity today. Like you actually had to listen, not ask your question and then look at the what my next question is, right? But as a guest, I've been on that side of it, and it's awkward. And so this felt a lot more like I forgot the cameras were here. I mean, at one point it was like, and you're talking to me about your daughter. Like I almost felt like you have much more genuine moments together when it's just a conversation.
Thankfully, these guys dropped a couple of things behind the set, and I was like, oh yeah, these guys are over here watching. So, guys, thank you for. Well, first of all, wanted to thank Parsa and Yas for doing all the work behind the scenes on this one, and thank you, Laura, for being here today. Guys, definitely make sure you go and check out Laura, follow, like, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time on the Leadership to Wealth podcast.